Now we're going to study variables and literals. So a name was given to a memory location. Variable is nothing, we just give some space in the RAM to store some value in it. So this is the basic unit of storage. So literals means nothing, this is just the value, the number or the character, whatever we give. That is what literals is. So there are various rules for writing variables in a programming language in C++. So first rule is a variable username can only have alphabets, numbers and underscore. And variable name cannot start with a number. You cannot write 1 then age. We'll be seeing how to write variable names on the next slides. Third rule is it is preferred to begin variable name with lowercase character. So suppose we are taking a variable name that is age, that is starting with small case is preferable than capital letter. So we follow camel case convention also. Camel case convention means we start first letter with small letter, small case, and after that whatever words come we write it in capital letters. And you cannot give space while naming variable. Suppose you are writing age name as a variable name, right? So you cannot give age then space that name. You have to write either with underscore or camel case. So variables and literals, you cannot write variable name as keywords. So what are keywords? Keywords are those words which are reserved in an compiler. So int is a keyword that is already reserved in a compiler. So that is already there in the compiler, it is defined. Int means integer. Suppose char is also there, that is character. So those are the keywords. We will be studying about the data types in the further slides. So you can see this is the way of defining a variable. We already saw in the first program also, this is the way of defining variable. This int, it means it's an integer type, age is a variable name, and this is assignment operator we are using, this is assignment operator, and 25 is the literals. So it means we are giving age some memory in the RAM and it's of integer type. Similarly, when I write age equals to 23, that means this 25 is getting updated to 23. I don't need to write int here again. We already told the compiler that age is of integer type. Now, literals can be numbers, those can be characters, those can be floating points, and those can be anything. So, literals are data used to represent fixed values. They can be used directly in the code. 1 is the number, 2.5 is the floating point, this is a decimal. So we call in programming as floating point. So 2.5 is the floating point. C, when you write in single quote, that means it is a character. When you write in double quote, that is an string. String is just word. If I write this underscore in double quote, underscore in double quote, that is a string. We already saw that in the Hello World program, right? So there are various data types. We'll be talking further on the video. One is integer, floating point, character, and string. So integers we already know, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are all integers. Floating point means it has a decimal value. So small decimal value. One more thing is there, that is double. So double is another data type where that is bigger part of floating point. Here 2.4 we are taking, if the number is very big, so there we use basically double because it can store more bytes of data. We'll see that how many bytes it take integer, how many bytes integer take, how many bytes floating point take. We'll see all that things. Moving to the next slide. So variable scope. A scope is a region of a program, and broadly speaking there are three places where the variables can be declared. Scope is nothing, that is just and writing within the parenthesis. That is what we call scope is in the very layman term. So variables can be declared inside a function, that can be declared outside the function. Variables can be declared inside the function, that can be declared outside the function, and that can be declared inside function parameters, right? So when we declare inside the function, we call it as local variable. It means within that scope, that local variable can be accessible. When we define outside the function, that's where we can take this variable name from anywhere and we can define inside the function parameter. We'll see these three things in the demo video when we take the demo video. Now we will see the demo of the variable scope. From here, we'll jump to the VS Code. After coming to the VS Code, we already created the codes folder. We printed the hello world. Now here what I'll do, I'll add another program. For adding another program, what I have to do is I have to click on this new file. When I click on this, here it comes. So I'll give the name of the program. So I'll give local global.cpp. So we're going to see local variable and global variable in C++ programming language. So we already know that what is the basic template. So basic template, it will write header file and we include IO stream, input output stream for cout and cin. And we write using namespace std and I'll end the statement here. Now what I have to do is, first of all, we're going to see the local variable, how to declare a local variable, how to initialize it, and how to print out the values, right? So what I'll do is I'll write a main function. We have to have one main function there in the C++ program. So I'll write main function, and within the scope of the main function, we'll write this is what scope of the function is, this curly braces. Inside this, I'll be declaring variables and I'll be initializing those variables, and then I'll be printing out the result. So I'll be declaring some variables and we're going to see that addition of those two numbers, suppose. So I'm giving that int x comma y. It means this is what this double slash is what commenting offline. This will not be executed. So this is what comment. So for the readability of the code, we write comment. So here what I'll write, declaration of variables. It means in the RAM, x and y have given some space in the memory. So this is what declaration of variable. I'll write one more variable that will be storing the addition of these two numbers, x and y. So I'll write suppose z, and this is also declaration of variables. Now I'll do initialization of those variables. So suppose x equals to 60 I'm writing, and I'll end with semicolon. Then I'll write y equals to 89, and again I'll end it with semicolon. And z is for what? Z is that variable we're going to store the addition of these two numbers. So what I'll be writing, z assignment operator x plus y, and these are what? These are initialization of x, y variables. Initialization means giving some value to those variables. Here declaration means we are giving some space in the memory and we are telling the compiler that x and y of integer type and variable names are x, y and z. So this is what declaration means. Initialization means we are giving some value to it, we are giving literals to it, right? So this is our whole logic done. Now we want to print that z also, that what 60 plus 89 result comes out. So what I'll be doing is I'll be using the cout and I'll be writing the sum is, and after that what I'll be giving, z is there, we need to print out z, right? And at the last I'll be writing endl. So endl is for giving like line, ending of line, this is endl. Then after last line I'll write return 0. Okay guys, one more thing, return 0 we use because this main function, this is a function, it's of integer type, so we have to return something, that is returning 0. If you don't write this statement also in the main function, it will execute because it's in the compiler, it's already told in the compiler, it's already defined in the compiler. If you don't write also, that is fine. But whenever you create your own user defined function, there you have to use return statement. So remember, it's a good practice to write in the main function also. Okay, now you see the white dot, I didn't save this, so I'll enter the command Control S, so it will go away. Okay, it's gone. Now what I'll do, I'll right click and click on run code. Let's run the code. The sum is 149. You see here the result come as the sum is 149. So we got our result. Okay, now this is local. How to create local variable is done. Local variable, what I said, we are defining within this main function. It can be defined, this variables, in the user defined functions also. So we will see those things whenever we learn functions in a detail. Now what we will try to do is we'll try to do create global variable. What I said, global variable that can be taken, that can be used from all other paths. That is what global variable is. It means from out of this scope that variable will be declared. Suppose I am declaring here int a as a global variable. So this is what declaration of global variable. This is declaration of global variable. This is, we can write as declaration of local variable. Why local variable? Because this is within this main scope. That's why this is local variable. This is within this main function scope. And this int a, this a variable, variable name a, is out of this scope. So this is a global variable, right? So what I'll be writing is, if I write here for showing the global variable thing, I'll just comment this line. Okay, so this is what I commented, this line. Now the 13 line will not be executed. Now what I'll be doing is, what our global variable is, that is a. We're going to store this x plus y in this global variable x plus y, and I'll give semicolon to it. After that I'll replace this z with a, because we are just trying to see the global variable, how it's working. Now it is done. Now I'll save this file, so it is saved. Now I'll run this code and it is giving the same result. The global variable we did for the, this we did for the local variable, and this a is outside the scope. Still we are storing it in a. What does this line means? X plus y value is assigned to a. This is not equals to. So there is difference between equals to and an assignment operator in an programming. When we say assignment, only one this symbol will be there, equals to. When we say equals to, that time double equals to we use. We'll study this thing when we study about the operators. All those operators will study. We'll see these things there. Okay, now one more thing I need to explain you, that a program can have the same name of local and global variables, but the value of the local variables inside the function will take more preference. For accessing the global variable with the same name, you will have to use the scope resolution operator. What I mean by that is, if suppose, I declare, let's see what I mean by that statement is. Let me remove all these things. Okay, now I'll create a local variable int x equals to 50. This is what local variable, because this is within the scope. Okay, now I'll declare one more variable that is x only, that is global variable with the same name, and I'll initialize it with some value, that is 90. And if I want to print these two names are same, the global variable and local variable. If I give cout statement here and I write the value is x, and if I give endless statement and if I save this program, both x have different value, right? But see what happens. It will take the value which is there in the local variable. You see 50 is getting printed. You see 50 is getting printed, and x equals to 50 I've written, x equals to 90 also written. So local variable get more preference. For accessing the global variable here, what I have to write is, I have to give cout statement and the value is, what I have to use, I have to use scope resolution operator to print that. So this is what scope resolution, double dot when we give, this is what scope resolution operator is. So I'll write the variable name here and I'll give endless statement. Now if I save this one and I run this code, see the value what it's giving is 50 for the local variable and 90 for the global variable. So whenever the global variable name and local variable name is same, then you can access the global variable name by scope resolution operator. This is the demo for the local variable and global variable. We're going to see the variable that is there in the function in the further videos when we see the functions, examples and everything. Thank you.